Are we live? Hey everyone, welcome back to Travel Live. Woo! Where's my response button? Are we doing it? Yeah, we are. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. This is our first live, guys. If this is your first time coming, I am Dr. Unoma, and as I always say, I am a psychiatrist based in not so sunny Glasgow, LOL, Scotland, and I am a child of God, guys. I am all about the Lord, and I know how much He cares about. In fact, I don't know how much He cares about us. I think I know a little bit, and from the little I know about Jesus, I know that He cares deeply about our mental health, our emotional health, and I believe He wants us to thrive in these areas. So here at Travel Light, guys, we are all about exploring what that looks like to give Jesus access to that space and allowing Him to be the Lord of our emotions and our minds and our bodies and all that good stuff. So welcome to Travel Light. Whee! So as you know, or if you don't know, I started Travel Light last year after much hemming and hawing, as we say in Glasgow. I wasn't sure that I didn't know how I was going to start it. I had this idea that I had on my mind for, I don't know, 2 years, and eventually I mustered up the courage to actually go for it. And it's been interesting because there's been a lot of starting and stopping and all that fun stuff. But anyway, we are now at episode 30, and I know it doesn't feel like a lot, but it feels like a lot to me. I feel like I've just climbed the mountain. So we are here celebrating 30 episodes. We together. That's right. And can I just say thank you so much to everybody who has been keeping up with our episodes and tracking with us and following us on this journey. You guys are amazing, and you're really what makes Travel Light happen. So thank you so much. So today we are going to be, I guess, going on this journey, a trip down memory lane, as they say, talking about where we've started, talking about the most recent series we've done about stress, which I found really helpful, even for myself. And I have some special guests tonight. Yes, we're going to be speaking to them and exploring these topics together. And yeah, can I just say I am joined by my fabulous production team. Wee in the background. Yay! Yeah, that's my husband and my brother, Johnny. But they are the ones that, like, honestly, they're so encouraging, and they're on my case when I am freaking out about episodes, and they're like, make sure you record and keeping me going. So I am very grateful for them. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, one more thing, guys. This is not meant to be me talking at you. I want to hear your comments as well. I want to interact with you. So make sure you are putting your thoughts in the comments. And when we say something good, they tell us it's good, you know. And if you have any questions or whatever, we want to hear them in the comments as well. So yes, and I'm speaking at the speed of light. I hope I am speaking in a way that is articulate, but here we go. So, as I mentioned, we started Travel Light last year. I started by giving an introduction to, why I entered the field of psychiatry, how psychiatry actually chose me rather than the other way around, and how I feel like God basically put me there specifically and made me for that specialty essentially. And I guess in my journey as a believer, I've felt that we're not very good at discussing these matters in church. There is a bit of a I'm going to say shame around the topic, and there's a stigma around mental health. And really, I want to break that. I want us to merge science and spirituality because I don't believe that God made those things to be separate, if that makes any sense. So, anyway, so I talked about my journey, how I picked psychiatry, or should I say again, how psychiatry picked me. And then we entered into talking about spirit, soul, and body and what that means. We talked about emotions, which is one of my favorite topics to discuss as well. And then after a hiatus last December, after I experienced my burnout, oh Lord, I recorded an episode, and then I thought, you know what, let's talk about stress because clearly I've been stressed, right? So we then did. Initially, I thought it was going to be a 10 episode stress series, then it ended up being 20. Well, 19, because I counted today. I was like, wow, we recorded 19 episodes about stress, which is wild. So we started by talking about what stress is, and I hope I was able to debunk some misconceptions about stress. Stress is actually something, is a response to pressure. It's a system that God's put in our bodies so that we're able to protect ourselves when things don't go quite right in our environment, which is important to know. So what I was harping about, and I'm still harping about, is chronic stress. See, when we are in situations or environments where there's this state of alarm for, I don't know, weeks or months or even years, that can be really detrimental to our physical and mental well-being. I talked about the biology of stress, and I hope I didn't go too granular on that one. I wasn't sure how to I didn't know how to balance it. Well, I was talking about cortisol and CRH, and sorry if it got too much. I'm learning how to, to do these things. And then one of my favorite topics was exploring the link between stress and mental illness. And I was very, hopefully, very clear with you guys that when I am, with my patients and I'm thinking about their long-term care, I'm always asking about stress, looking for stress points, because we know that when people are, again, particularly in areas of chronic stress, it can really destabilize people who have mental illnesses, or it can make you prone to developing a mental disorder. So it was very good for me to discuss that. One of the topics that resonated with a lot of people was stress in the digital age. I got a lot of comments about that, not on the YouTube page, but texting. Stop texting me, put it on the YouTube channel, okay, so people can see the questions and comments. But anyway, it was good because I think we're all feeling the techno stress, as they say. Everybody is burdened. Technology is great, as I always mention. I'm using technology right now. I'm surrounded by technology. There's lights and all that kind of stuff, but it's when technology owns us that becomes a problem, where we're not able to peel ourselves away from it, and it really sits on our heads. So that was really good to hear people's thoughts about that. It was also fun and challenging to go into Jesus and what he has to say about stress. I hope I was able to, free some people of the guilt of feeling pressure, because Jesus felt pressure while he was on earth. And a good example was before he went on the cross to take our sins on himself, that he felt pressure. He didn't go into fear or anxiety, which is what I think people often get concerned about. Yeah, anxiety is not a good thing. Neither is fear. God tells us not to fear. But pressure coming from the outside is not necessarily a bad thing. But when we lean into the Lord and allow the systems he's put in our bodies and the community, the supports around us to bolster us up, we're able to rise to the occasion, essentially. I also enjoyed recording the one about surrender, just because I'm talking about it, but I'm still working through that one. And I loved a comment that came from one of our viewers. Someone said, "This is so good, Dr. Unama, a privilege to not worry," because I spoke about how we get to not worry as children of God. And she said, "Wow, so many things to reflect on in this episode. Love the definition of surrender. Time for me to truly stop resisting and trust in the process. Thank you so much." I could have written that myself. That is so like me. I'm still working through that one. So that was fun. Then fast forward, we talked about the providence of God and how that's super important when we think about going through difficulties. We talked about the story of Joseph and how he went through all, man. He was the favorite and then sold off into slavery and then became the favorite again. But in all that, looking back, we could see how God's hand was on him, the entire time. And that was really, really fun. Yeah. And then fast forward to one of my other favorite episodes was the one about the Sabbath. I loved it so much, loved recording it. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So I just wanted to talk about these really fun things we have recorded in this series. We talked about sleep, which is one of my favorite things, much to my husband's annoyance, because I just want to sleep at 9 and he's awake till 2 a.m. And we keep clashing about that, but Jesus is helping us. Amen. So sleep is a good one. And I hope you guys are treating your sleep better. You're honoring this gift that God has given us. So awesome. Thank you once again for tracking with us. Psalm 46, which we'll talk about, was another big one. Thank you for all the messages and things. And if you can think of things that you've also picked up on as we're chatting, please go ahead and put it in the comments. So that was a whistle stop tour of episode 0. Yeah, 0, when it was still a baby, a seed in my brain, till episode 30. So awesome. So we are going to be talking to one of my guests now. I'm really excited to introduce this lovely lady. I don't want to call her a girl. You're a lady, right? Yeah, you're a lady. So she's a lady that I am privileged to mentor. She's wonderful. She has such a spark, such a light in her eyes. When you see Danielle, you see Jesus in her eyes. It's just amazing. And she's just a wonder to journey with. And I thought it would be fun to speak to her about, what she's picking out from these series. I want to hear her thoughts as well about how faith in Jesus and her walk with Jesus has helped her get through stress in her life. So can we just say hello to Danielle, everyone? Yay! Hey, Danielle, I'm Johnny's arm. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Danielle, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for
As
having
as
me.
as I say, you are amazing. You are wonderful, and I love that God has put you in my life to be a part of your journey. So thanks for coming. One of the things we were discussing recently was your favorite character in the Bible, Joseph, who is again one that we've highlighted. I wondered if you could talk to us about Joseph and how his story relates or not so relates to you.
Okay, all right, my favorite story. Okay, the first time I read Joseph when I was really little, I got the impression that Joseph was very, very well. He did good things, but he always got something bad for it. But I always thought that maybe, it's a children's story, so yeah, they tell it that way to make us feel afraid, right? So when I read the story of Joseph recently, and I went through Joseph, and I went through one book that my mentor prescribed to me, that was very amazing. It's called Unmerited Favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just about grace and what grace is like. I remember like thinking, oh my gosh, how did Joseph endure? Because he went from being like privileged, really, really privileged. Everyone saw him as almighty, even though he wasn't, because he was so favored by his father in a house where he had so many brothers. They could have ignored him, and they even did
Yeah.
try to make him feel small for it, but he did everything to just be innocent and good, despite having going through all of that. Even when he got sold, even when he went to the prison, he never really complained. He never really said, oh, curse all of you because you all ruined my life. He never really went back. Every single time he went through a new chapter or challenge, he went forward, and he didn't really have any resistance. He just opened himself up to God, and God really used him because of it. And that is what scared me about the story of Joseph, because I was like, how is he not complaining? How is he not saying to Jesus that, Jesus, you promised me that you'll make me the head. You promised me that I'll be the bright and shining star of my whole family. You promised me that all the other stars will bow to me. How come I'm in the middle of nowhere? How come I don't know where I am? How come everyone is accusing me? Everywhere I go, trouble is caused. Am I even... No, I would have been thinking, am I made for trouble? Is trouble made for me? But Joseph took it calmly,
Yeah.
and he really, really exuded what I hope one day I'll be able to exude. He
Yeah.
exuded what I think is like the ultimate peace. Like he understood that he was favored no matter what he saw, and he continued walking that way. So that's why Joseph really,
I
really
know
scared me.
it's a big challenge, isn't it? But these are the stories in the Bible are meant to uplift us, to lift us, to take us higher, because there's so much more that God has for us. And I know that at your not so little age, you've been through some challenging things in your life. I'm not asking you to share about like super deep things, but I just wonder if you could share on maybe an experience you had where your walk with Jesus, the experience was challenging. Maybe you felt really pressed, but actually knowing Jesus was a really crucial factor in getting through that. Do you want to share something with someone and just encourage somebody tonight?
All right. Okay. So I'm going to talk about one of the exams I wrote. I know that it's not like it's a very what do you mean by this topic kind of thing, but there was this one time I had to write this exam. It was higher maths, and I remember I was stressed. It wasn't just I was stressed, it was because I had pre-stressed myself. I had come from Nat 5 where I didn't really expect. I was really, really good. I was getting 100%, and everyone was looking at me every single time I passed by and saying, oh, the person who got 100%, are you going higher or are you going lower? You can't really go higher. So I felt so stressed, and I didn't even know it. It kept compiling, and over the years, as I was like preparing for my higher maths, I remember sitting down trying to practice and not really like coming in and out of the feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, or oh wait, I know what I'm doing. God knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What am I talking to myself? What am I saying? So when I got to the place where I was supposed to write the exam, it was just the hall where I sat. I was trying to gather my thoughts and trying to tell myself my last like words of strength. And I remember that I just heard people talking in the background, and that was it. I went from 100% calm, 100% sprayed perfume. I was like, you know what? I need to
Not the
smell
perfume.
nice. I'm like, I need to smell nice to do this well. I need to smash this with enthusiasm and everything. So when people started talking, I was like, oh, I think this is going to be the worst math exam of ever. I remember just drowning. I forgot how to breathe. Truly forgot how to breathe. I brought out, and the good thing is usually when I feel stressed in school, I just bring out like my jotter and I just write down Bible verses. Bible verses that at some point have made me feel, this is what God is saying to me. So
Oh, I
I
love
write
that.
that down at the back of any book that I own. You probably see some Bible verses behind it, even if it's one. So I tried to read through it, but I couldn't breathe, remember? So I was trying to and trying to read it at the same time. And I was like, this is not working. I tried to contact my mom, and she was like, what's going on? I was like, I think I'm having a panic attack. Because I can't exaggerate, okay? Yeah. So I was like, I think I'm having a panic attack. I don't know what's going on. I can't breathe. It's 10 minutes. And the fact that it's 10 minutes is making me freak out even more than I'm supposed to like relax. And before this, I had no problem. And I didn't even talk. That's how stressed I was. I was chatting and I was shaking as I was chatting. It was the first time I experienced stress that much, I think. So I remember that there was just this flick and switch in my head. What just as people were going in, and I was like, I don't think I can go in anymore because I was that bad. It was that bad. It was just one moment where something spoke to me. I know it's the voice of God, but it was like, so you say these things, but do you really believe them?
Wow.
You say these things, you say, oh, I am going to do the best. You're reading the word of God. You can see that it's not working because you're barely even absorbing it. How are you supposed to breathe when you're stressing about breathing?
Wow.
And not just like releasing it. So it was the first time I actually thought, you know what, rather than read this, I should actually be feeling my inner self, not just like reading it outwardly and trying to tell myself that I know what's going on, everything is going to be in control. It reminded me that, you know what, I actually have to feel what I'm reading.
Right.
It's not really about knowing the word for word and memorizing it and like saying it out while I'm writing the paper. It was, to me, at that moment, I realized it was that I just felt it. I just all of a sudden felt, you know what, God is beside me.
Yeah.
The Spirit of the Lord is with me. Excellent Spirit follows me.
Amen.
There's nothing I would do that would be so wrong that God cannot correct.
Wow.
So
Come on, Danielle.
that's how I went into the hall. I looked up at the clock and I was like, you don't scare me anymore.
Hey.
Nothing is going to scare me.
Yes, Jesus.
And I eventually wound up getting like a very, very high grade in that exam. After coming out, I was like, you know, the truth is, maybe what stressed me is I didn't think I was as prepared as I wanted to be. But the truth is, it wasn't about my preparation. I think that was one of the first lessons I learned about faith. That wasn't just about what I thought what I needed or what I thought I needed to do to make everything okay. It was about what I believed and what I allowed to I internalized.
Yeah.
Because I had internalized fear so much, I forgot how to breathe. I reminded myself, is it not in and out? How is this going on?
So God wanted you to breathe in the word as well as reading it. That is an amazing story. Thank you for sharing. So like for people who might be going through that kind of thing, then what advice would you give them? You know, people who already know Jesus, how would you tell them to manage that kind of situation?
Okay, so first of all, I'll tell them to remember that God is actively there with you, not passively there with you. Because we all have this tendency as Christians to like bring out the word and be like, Satan, I have this word. You can't do nothing to me. But most of the time, Satan is laughing at us because we're shaking our hands as we're bringing out the sword. But we don't even trust the sword. We're like, wait, is this sword plastic? Could it break? So I think, first of all, is to like realize that God is actively around us.
Amazing.
And he's there with us. And next thing is to have community. See, I wish I turned to someone and then said, please hold my hand. I really am scared right now. I didn't even admit it to myself I was scared. How would anybody have helped me? Because I didn't even admit it to myself that I felt like I was going to I couldn't do it anymore. So I think that another thing to do is try your best to surround yourself with people that understand you and that can be with you when you're struggling. And last of all, I think pray.
Yeah.
Because even when prayer looks like it's not working, prayer might be the only thing that saves. Because right before I heard that voice, I remember thinking to myself, I've tried everything I physically can. I've thought about every single part of my studying. I've thought about every single formula that I could forget. The only thing I could do is talk to God. And even when after I talked to God, it seemed like nothing was working. But then that voice came through and I realized that, you know what, I wasn't feeling it. I was saying it. I was externalizing it. I was trying to make myself believe instead of just calming down and believing it.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. See why Danielle's amazing. Just saying. Thank you, Danielle. I'm going to ask you one question before we move on to the next section. And again, thank you for all the good stuff you're giving us tonight. For someone, as someone who listens to Travel Light, is there any episode that really stuck out to you? Anyone you think that, you know what, people should go and listen to that one because that was, I guess, not life changing necessarily, but was kind of good for you? Do you want to share? Is there anyone?
There are a couple. The first one I really love was the one about emotions. That at the point when I was watching that video, I had finished talking to my mentor about how I struggled to I feel like emotions are hard and I don't understand why God created them. That's how I've always felt about them, honestly. Because I thought that at the point of your life when you needed decisions and you needed to be logical, emotions could get in the way. And not even in the area of getting distracted. It might just be that you suddenly feel anxious, everything you've learned down the drain. But when I watched that, I realized that it's the fact that we feel pain, the fact that we struggle means that we could use that to help someone next time. It's not something that should hold us down. It's something that we should learn and acquire the emotion and the tool to handle it so that next time when someone else is in that place, we could raise them up with those tools.
Yeah.
So we should use them as tools and as gauges, not necessarily as our guide, the one that rules our lives. We shouldn't let them rule us. We should actually work with them.
That's good.
And learn from them and then help them, use them to help others.
Nice.
And then I also benefited from the stress series because I didn't know that when you say stress, I thought it was always bad. But when I realized that truly the best times of my life when I've had to do things that I really want, that really excited me, they stressed me out somehow, and that made me do it even more
better.
That made me do it better. And I realized the difference between acute stress and chronic stress, which was really, really good because I needed that to remind myself. So see, when I'm getting stressed now, I just remind myself, no chronic stress, so don't overthink it. Let it go. No chronic stress.
Oh, that is fantastic. Danielle, thank you so much. Please hang around because people might have questions for you because you have such good stuff to share. Can we just give it up for Danielle? That was amazing. Come on now. Okay, we're going to do a hard segue, not necessarily a hard segue. We're going to go to my next guest, who is also amazing. I know I keep saying that, but she is. So her name is Barbara Angela Miller, also known as Vocal Point. So Barbara has I can't call her Barbara, I'm going to call her Auntie because my mom will slap me, right? Auntie Barbara, right? She has a podcast dedicated to empowering women over the age of 50 as they navigate life's pivotal transitions. And I love that so much because more and more I'm beginning to really hate the idea of retirement because I don't feel like God wants us to retire necessarily. So I love that you're doing that. Vocal Angel, also known as Vocal Angel, not Vocal Points, rather. She also shares on her journey of self-discovery, resilience, and empowerment. And just very recently, Vocal Angel completed a 21-day live stream event on social media. Anyone who creates content knows that that is not an easy thing. So I give my hats off to you. Can we just welcome Auntie Barbara, aka Vocal Angel? Hey, Auntie, how are you?
I am so fine. Oh my goodness. What a production you've got going on here.
I have
Have this
nothing to do with it. It's the team.
I didn't have that team, I'm afraid. But
Oh,
wow, it's an amazing team. You're
yes.
so blessed to have this,
I
Dr.
totally
Unama.
agree.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for asking me to come.
Oh, no, not at all. For people people won't know. I've met Auntie Barbara once. We went for a retreat together in January, wasn't it, Auntie?
Yes, it
There's
was.
a group of women. We all kind of gathered together. We're kind of encouraging each other to go after the dreams that God's put in our hearts, essentially. And I just fell in love with her. She is such an encourager. And she will actually give me feedback on videos. And I'm like, I'm going to keep going. Auntie Barbara's watching. So it's awesome. And Auntie, in the 21-day stream event you did, there was one topic that I thought was really interesting that we were, I guess, talking about at the same time, which was, I never take those things as coincidence. I'm like, God's doing something there. You were talking about the Sabbath. And when I saw your video and you saw my video, we were like, whoa, what's going on here? I just wondered if you could just speak into that. Like, what is it about the Sabbath that you're passionate about? And why do you think is important for us even today in modern society?
Well, fortunately, um, the Sabbath came in within my live stream. There were about 3 Sabbaths I had within my 21 days live stream. And can you believe it? 2 of them didn't come through.
Oh
It was
no.
Oh, it was just chaos on the
Oh.
on when I had to do it on the Sabbath, and I know why, because I had to do it away from home. I was
Mm.
still committed to going to church on the Sabbath, you know.
Sure.
So how I started in the Sabbath, I was born here in the UK, and then
Mm-hmm.
I went to Jamaica when I was about 10 years old and spent about 13 years there. So, in the district that I grew up in, I've spent more than that coming back now. But in the district that I grew up in, the church in my area was a Sabbath church.
Right.
And that's where my mom went to. And so I was brought up in that environment, right? So I was allowed to question it when I came back to England,
Mm-hmm.
to think, is it really the Sabbath? So it's something that I've actually tested. But what I did like about it is the fact that in Jamaica, you see it was from sunset to sunset. That's how we do our days. Did you
Yeah.
know that? It's
I didn't know
your day
that.
doesn't well, your day doesn't start at midnight looking on
I
a
know.
not with in God's timing.
That's
when the
true.
when the sun sets, it's
Mm-hmm.
beginning of, because the Bible says in Genesis, the evening
And the
and the
day.
morning was the
Yes.
first day, you
Yes.
see. And
Yes.
so when we see the sun setting, that's what I liked about it in Jamaica. The sun was setting, all our preparations was made for the day. My mom was well into it, so she prepared the meals, and we actually had ginger beer for our tea.
Love
A lot
it.
that warms up the tummy. But it
Mm-hmm.
was the fellowship when we get together. It was the eating and the fellowship at church, and studying the Bible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so and so I came over here and I challenged it. I challenged the belief. What is the Sabbath?
Mm.
But I've come because of the age that I am. I've matured because when I was young, I couldn't wait for the sun to set to go out and party, right?
Yeah.
You just didn't grasp the meaning of Sabbath. But
Mm-hmm.
now I've matured into the space where I remember Jesus said, Sabbath was made for man,
Yeah.
and not man for the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
And that statement, yeah, he did. And he didn't say Sabbath was made for Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Notice he said Sabbath was made for man. And when you
Mm-hmm.
actually think about the actual command, it said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, because in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and then
Yeah.
he rested on the
Mm-hmm.
Sabbath day. So, sometimes we hear the statement, um, this is the day that the Lord has made.
Mm-hmm.
Let us rejoice and be glad in it. When I
Mm-hmm.
hear that, I've never heard anybody else say it, but when I hear it, it means that's the day he made, because he
Yeah.
made something on day one, something on day two, something on three, four, five. What did he make on the sixth day?
Rest. Nothing.
No,
Yeah.
no, he made man on the
Man.
sixth
Oh, the
day.
6th day. I thought you said 7th day. Sorry, 6th day.
I
That's
said
true.
six. I tricked you there. So he,
Ah!
yes, he made man on the sixth day, but then on the seventh day, he just made a day.
Yeah.
He just created a day. So I call it, this is the day that the Lord has made. I think that's what David had in mind when he thought about the Sabbath. And
Oh.
so he actually made that space. Now, when it comes to it, when he says Sabbath was made for man, it is the Lord's Sabbath, but he made it for us. Why?
Mm.
It's a space in time that he created for us to enter into it.
Wow. Love
And
it.
you enter into his rest, it's like he's there
Mm.
waiting,
Oof.
and you come into that space with him. I
Yep.
think it's okay if you want to have your own Sabbath, which we do. Some people like just to rest. Yes, you
Mm.
must rest, as you said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to God, He actually created that space for us to rest in it,
Mm.
and it's that special time. So I've grown now into saying, okay, Father, I'm not going to fool around. I know that that is the day you've created for me to rest in, and I've submitted to that. I've submitted to that. So yeah. So when
Oh,
you're talking
wow.
about, yeah, that's
So
how
that
I
no,
go.
that is amazing. So I just wonder, how do you practice that then? What does that look like in your life, observing the Sabbath? Because I know we're not meant to be, I guess, rule based anymore. It's really about following the Lord and the Spirit as He leads us into what rest looks like. So I
Yeah.
just wondered what that looks like in your life. Could you speak into that a little bit?
Well, practically speaking, it's something you look forward to.
I love it.
Yeah, it's actually something that you look forward to. I know for my mom, it's like, or generally, it's like some people say, "Thank God it's Sabbath." You know, yeah, it's like because they know that's the space where they just truly and truly wind down. And for me, it's preparation time. From Friday in the day, you prepare your meals. I love the fellowship. I'm not a good cook, but my mom is. And so I love to go to mummies. I'm still spoiled.
Love it.
And so I love to go to mummies and daddies for the Sabbath, and we spend that time with family. I love to bring my grandchildren to church. My children, I've got 4 children. Um, they have grown up in that space, but they haven't adhered to it, unfortunately. So they've strayed in their own way. I think that's okay. I
Yeah.
think you're supposed to test your beliefs. Yes, and find your own way, because you don't just you're born into the church in the sense of you're not just you have to be born again to really
Yes.
believe these kind of things. Yeah, so practically speaking, it's just a time of preparation. I love the fact that we look for the sunset. Yeah, we have to sometimes check on Google what time the sun's setting. And then we know when it's completed from sunset to sunset. Did you know that's how a day begins?
Yeah, I actually did. It was Joseph Prince. I heard that from the first time. He was
Yes,
explaining that the best way to start your day, in quote, is to treat the nighttime as the beginning of it. So I
it
remember
is.
he actually advised that it wasn't like a rigid law, but he said, you know what, it's nice to spend time with the Lord before you sleep and start your day that way, so that when you start your work in the morning, like you're already in the flow with the Lord. So that stuck out to me, but I've never really sat in that revelation long enough. But I do remember he said that, and he brought that up, as you said in Genesis, where it says the
The
evening and then
evening
the
and
morning,
the
and then that was the day.
first
Yeah, it's
day.
very clear in Genesis, 100%, 100%
Yeah,
true. So
yeah.
yeah, this is such good stuff, Auntie Barbara. I see she's just full of so much juice. Just great. I just wonder, Auntie, do you think that, your observing of that kind of rhythm of rest has been
Ooh,
beneficial to your health or your well-being in general? Can you speak to that at all? Like, what's been your
yeah.
observation?
I loved when you said rhythm the rhythm of rest. And it truly is a rhythm because it's a rhythm. And the enemy doesn't like rhythms.
Wow.
No, no, no. He likes to disrupt that. He likes to disrupt that. But I think it's I've just been learning this week about altars and what an altar is. And I think it's like setting something up and sticking to it and making sure that you stick to a rhythm. So it's like, okay, Father, I'm going to praise you. I'm going to pray to you 6 o'clock every morning at this time. That's a rhythm. That's a pattern. And you're setting up an altar. I'm just learning this. I was just making notes. So I think likewise, the Sabbath can be a rhythm
Yeah.
that you get into. It's a pattern. It's a cycle.
Yes.
And the enemy doesn't like that. And I think that's that space where, I'm beginning to learn and benefit from, just enter into that space that he created. He made it for us to enter into it. And it also represents his eternal rest. It represents his eternal rest. He's saying to us, you think this is good? You wait.
Ah, wow. I love
You
that.
haven't seen anything yet. You know, this is just a foretaste of what I've got in store for you.
Yeah.
So Sabbath was made for man and not man
Man for
for
the
the
Sabbath.
Sabbath. So
Wow.
yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. I wondered, do you ever struggle with feeling guilty about resting? Because it's something that I've had to contend with as well. I'm a busybody, to be fair, and I put my hand up, and I'm a recovering busybody, as I say. But I'm just wondering if it's something you've dealt with, and if you could speak into that at all.
Oh, I definitely have dealt with that, and I still deal with that because my your brain you can rest physically, but your brain's still going.
Yeah.
You can actually be at church and you're thinking about something else. That happens to us all.
Yes.
But I think it's also about just training the mind and just realizing, okay, God knows that too, doesn't he? He knows that. And he rested. Was he tired?
No, it was not.
No, he wasn't. He just made that space for us. So he was thinking about us and said, please find the time to slow down. It's about practice. It's about
Yes.
practice.
Barbara.
Just practicing,
Hmm.
staying in that space, and we
Wow.
benefit a lot,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Auntie. I wondered, I know, again, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being such an encourager to me and to Travelite podcast and what this project is all about. In all the time you've been listening, I just wonder, was there anything that we've discussed that was really interesting or impactful to you that you'd like to share tonight and maybe signpost people to go listen to if they haven't yet?
Oh, I must say, I didn't say congratulations, did I?
Oh, you didn't, but thank you, Auntie.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I take my hat off to you. You just came on full professional. It's admirable. I'm going to find out the equipment that you use. I'm going to seal all of your producers and everybody else. But yes, I know that you came in hard, but I really congratulate you.
Thank you.
And to say just keep on, because I don't think there's no one like you out there. You understand? I love the fact that you are a psychiatrist, a professional, and a Jesus girl, as you love to say. Here, a Jesus girl, and you really know how to just bring things together and just teach us. So when you say about anything that spoke to me, the ones I liked when you started, because I like the word travel light. I heard it before you even started, I think. Um, your name, you said travel light. And I thought, how profound is that? Because the Bible does say, lay aside the weight
Yeah.
that easily besets us and let us run this race with patience. You don't want baggage. You need to travel light.
Come on,
You
Auntie. Whoosh.
it's a travel light, and that's what you're teaching us. And the knowledge that you have, I'm just blown away. But because I have a degree in medical biochemistry, I'm going to be honest, I
I did
really
not
did.
know that. Oh my goodness.
I do, but that's why I like the one about the stress responses and
Ah.
the technicalities of it all. I did love that. And the reason why, I'm divorced now for donkey years. My marriage only lasts 7 years, and my children are now in their 30s. But I talk about a stress response. I have an autoimmune disease now called myasthenia gravis, and you know how I got that?
Ah.
It was
No.
my body reacting to a stress response. You know
Right.
what
Right.
happened was my ex-husband, he abused me for the first time,
Wow.
uh, and it shocked my body. And when I came to my senses, I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, an
Oh
autoimmune disease
wow.
where the nerves meet the muscles. Then my body is attacking that chemical that goes across to say,
Yep.
or the receptors to say it shouldn't be there when it should. So I say that to say our bodies can really react in a really negative way to stress. And I'm still on medication for it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't hold me back. So sometimes I got the weakness in the muscles in my face and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that you're on the right path, teaching us how to respond to stress, and that's what I like the most. Yeah, thank you.
Wowie. Oh, thank you, Auntie Barbara. And thank you for sharing about that. Your vulnerability just always honestly blows me away. Thank you for being who you are. You're amazing. I just wondered, where can people find out about what you're doing? Obviously, I've mentioned Vocal Points. Can you just kind of share where we can find you on different platforms so that we can follow you
Oh wow.
tonight?
Okay. Um Well, YouTube, just stay into YouTube, to be honest. You find me there with Vocal Points by Barbara Angela Miller. I'm around there. If I'm on Instagram, it will be Vocal Angel ID, and Facebook, it is Vocal Angel Limited. So, yeah, my podcast is Vocal Points.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I'll edit the description of this video so that we'll add your tags actually to make sure
Well,
everyone can follow you. She has so much more to give, guys. So please go and follow her. She has much more coming, much more to share with the world. Thank you, Auntie Barbara. Please, yeah, please can we just give it up for Auntie Barbara? Whee! Thank you so much. So please just if you just pause there just in case people have questions for you. I'd really appreciate that. I know I've taken a lot of your time. Thank you so much again. I just wondered, producers, are there any comments that we should be responding to, or is there nobody there? Are we Nigels tonight? Not 15 people. Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Woo.
Sabbath. Gems are wonderful. Loving this community feel.
Yay.
Love you for being so real and open, stuff like that.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please go ahead though if you have any questions for our guests. The floor is open. And if I get questions for me, the floor is open as well. People are too shy in the comment section. I'm always begging you, can you please put some comments? Tell me what you're thinking. Let us hear what you're saying. But anyway, thank you for joining in tonight. I will, I guess, start wrapping up. I'll tell you a wee bit about what's going to be happening in Travel Light in sort of the coming future. So this topic of rest and the Sabbath, I think, needs some further digging into. I think there is some stuff that God wants us to really tap into there. So for the next foreseeable, I don't think it'll be 20 episodes like I did with the stress one. Phew. It will be a few episodes. We're going to dive deeper into this thing about rest. There is something there. There is something that we're missing in our current world. There's too much hustle. There's too much business. The glorification of productivity over fruitfulness bothers me quite a lot. And I feel like God wants to do something about the way we are perceiving success. So we're going to delve deep into that one. And again, of course, tying it all into mental health and emotional health. So we're going to be doing that. So please, actually, one thing, can I ask you guys to share in the comments? Is there anything you would like me to touch on? Not necessarily in the next episode, but certainly in future episodes, we can kind of do deep dives into that. Are there things that you're struggling with specifically when it comes to your mental health and emotional health? Tying it up, obviously, with our walk with Jesus. I'd love to know that as well. Again, in the future, I've loved this, like doing the interviews. My hope is that I'm going to probably get Auntie Barbara again because, my gosh, come on, she has too much to say. So I'm probably going to get her back again. Maybe have another live soon. And yeah, we'll be working on those. Can I also say we will be taking a break next week just so that we can kind of regroup. So we're going to be back with episodes on the 4th of November. So keep your eyes peeled. We're going to start our series on rest. And just going back to our team, is there anything that... Not a question. Ooh.
Question for Auntie Barbara.
A question for Auntie Barbara.
Is there a way to reverse the health effects that stress has caused?
Ooh, Auntie Barbara, someone's asking, is there a way to reverse the effects that stress has caused? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, definitely diet. Food is medicine. Right now, to be honest, I've just ended a 21 days Daniel fast just today, the 21st. I started on the 1st of October, and the health benefits. Thank you. The health benefits are just amazing. I feel it already in my body. So there is a reversal. And to be honest, I listened to a doctor not too long ago that deals with eating the right food, and he specifically said that he's working with people with autoimmune diseases because he has found that he can reverse the effects of what's happened. So I just read that recently. So yes, it is possible to reverse it with our how we eat and how we rest.
Yes, how we rest, 100%. That's a really good one. I think one of the things we don't talk about in church enough actually is trauma. I think in our culture now, there is a lot of focus on it. I think sometimes it gets a bit diarrhea. It's just like trauma all the time. But that stuff is real. And sometimes trauma can, for lack of a better way of describing it, can stay in our bodies. There is a book which is worth reading. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. So even when we think that we are past things or we think that we've moved on past our history, sometimes it gets embedded in our bodies. And there are ways to walk through trauma and get those things, I guess, dealt with. So those are more psychological things that we can actually delve into in future episodes. So again, remember in Travel Light, we're all about you as a holistic being. It's not just about your mind only or your spirit only or your body only. It's your spirit, soul, and body. They are interconnected. And when we ignore one, there are profound effects on our well-being, holistically. So it's about always bringing those three to the Lord and Him, I guess, revealing things in ways that we can be healthier. So as Auntie Barbara was saying, the diet part would be the body part, and then there's the mind part, which could be working with, say, a psychologist, for example, things like that. Hope that all makes sense. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, no questions. Woo!
This is a question for our lovely It says, how do you feel is the best way to snap out of hyper stressing in the moment, and what helps you when you're being overwhelmed?
So I think it's breathing. I think we underestimate breathing. We think that breathing is what we are doing normally, and there's something because we're in choir with my lovely mentor, and she taught us about breathing from our stomach because we're too used to like. And when you do that, when you don't let it settle, when you don't let each breath settle and don't like actively breathe, you really lose touch of everything. You're not aware of what's going on around you. So just try breathing and remember that God is there with you. So it's okay to release it and breathe.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really, really good one. We forget that, God made the shell of man, I guess, and then breathed into that shell, and that shell became a man. So there is power in the breath. The breath is an extension of God, actually. So really important that we stay in it and stay in the moment and enjoy that life that comes with your breath. That's a really good one. Someone's been listening. Come on, Danielle. Yes. We love to see it. Okay. Any other questions, or is that us? Okay. Guys, can I just say a massive thank you, everybody who has tuned in tonight to celebrate with us. I am so ecstatic. We didn't crumble. The technical team came through. Come on, technical team. I want to say thank you to my amazing guest, Auntie Barbara. You are awesome. Thank you. Go find her. She is a vocal angel. Her podcast is called Vocal Points, and she just has so much to give to the world. She's a gift, honestly. And to my amazing mentee, Danielle. Woo! Wait, Danielle has a brand. I should be promoting that. So Danielle just started a business doing hair. And so if you're in the Glasgow-ish area, right? You can go further afield. She is the one to hook you up if you want to get your hair done. So everyone give it up for Danielle. Whee! What's your brand called? Tell us so we can find you on Instagram.
It's called Florence Beauty 2024.
Yeah, thank you. Florence Beauty 2024. So thank you guys again. We will see you on the 4th of November. And can I leave you with one final thought, guys? In these times, in these shaky times, these times where it's uncertain, it is really easy to forget that God himself is with us, as Danielle was saying earlier. He is actively present. He is not a passive observer, but he is just intimately involved in our stories. So in keeping with what we're talking about with the providence of God, I'm going to read Psalm 46, 1 and 2, verse 7 to read us out. It says that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling. There is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen. So he's with you actively. So remember that as you go about your day. So thank you again, guys. Thank you for joining us at the Travel Light Live. Hope you guys have a good one. And I'll see you on the 4th of November. See you later. Bye.